So here will be a video on how to draw the maxillary premolars. Maybe later there will be another video covering the mandibular premolars. I'm going to now draw the tooth 1-4 and 1-5. You should ideally start with making an outline for the teeth you want to draw. For example, the tooth, the first premolar is a bit larger, so it has a larger square. The second premolar is a bit more narrow. That's the first thing. Second thing, what can help you most likely is if you draw in the edges. It has a sort of a hexagonal shape to your premolar, and you can see that for the first premolar it's a bit off axis. It's not in the center of the page, it's on the side, and that's because the mesial cusp ridge for the first premolar is longer than the distal, and this is unique and only for the first maxillary premolar. Every other tooth has it the opposite way. So, and as for the second premolar, it's more symmetrical, it's in the center of the axis. So approximately like this. So now when we have the guidelines in, we will proceed further. When drawing the outline, you should always remember that the distal side is always more rounded, both when looking from the occlusal side and both when looking from the buccal side. So when drawing the outline, I would go like this. First thing, it's not that much symmetrical. Second thing, I know how to draw these teeth though, so this is a lot easier for me. For you guys, maybe take several steps. Maybe if you want to correct an angle, you should, for example, if I wanted to correct this angle, I should first draw the correct line and then delete the old one. And that's the correct way of learning to draw. You should never delete it first and then try to draw it again. So, but I like my corner the way it is. And you can see that the distal side is more rounded than the mesial side, and also has relatively more of an edged corner. So now we have the outline. Second, we should add a midline, approximately. And for the first premolar, it has a relatively long central groove, relatively long, and it curves downward a bit, like this. And for when it goes upwards, it has this sort of an H, the letter H shape. Approximately like that. Maybe I want to move it a bit lower, actually. A bit lower. So approximately like that. Then we have downward, and these are fossil grooves, and this is the line that's going mesial to distal is the central groove, of course. Then we go downward to, and the first premolars, they don't usually have very many supplementary grooves, but they can have them. And when I look at the tooth now, I think I might want to reduce this corner a bit, actually, but maybe I can leave it as it is anyway. So As for the developmental grooves, we can add some few like here, for example, and 2 on the other side. And it's actually quite common for the first maxillary premolar to have a marginal ridge groove. And marginal ridge groove goes across the marginal ridge right here. But I want to correct this little side, I think. It's a bit too wide. So approximately like this. And what else you can add is approximate where the edge and the cusp of the tooth is located. You can draw additional lines like this. And maybe you want downward indicating where the central ridge or the triangular ridge is located. So we have the maxillary first premolar drawn. I will also first draw the second premolar, then I will add in the structures that I want you to also add in your drawings, and that will be required as a list to mark them in the image. And this also is for the exam. So not only would you be required to draw a drawing, but you also need to add in the correct names of the lines and structures and fossa that are required for a premolar, for example. So now we have a maxillary first premolar drawn. Let's draw the second premolar. Second premolar is a bit more rounded and a lot more symmetrical than the first. Actually, for the first, this side could be even more slanted to the distal. So because I removed this side, it looks too symmetrical, but it really shouldn't. This side should be more to the side, to the distal side. Approximately like this. So the second premolar has a lot more oval overall outline. I would think I would reduce